does the will of my Father in heaven, is my brother and sister and mother. And although this might be a little fire and brimstone-y, whoever does not do the will of his Father in heaven is not his mother and brother and sister. This is a cause and effect. The church family is not formed by membership. The church family is not formed by time. The church family is not formed by the fact that you like the people you're around. The church family is formed by doing the will of your Father in heaven. And all people who do that together are part of one church family. And if we think of it that way, I think it changes our perspective. You know, we're doing Week of Compassion this week. We're giving money to people for disaster relief. And that money goes into a sort of a pool, I guess, in our account. And it's at this point, getting shipped down to Haiti for the most part. Now, we think of that maybe as doing a nice thing for those people. We might think of that as doing something that's good, you know, throwing some money in the tray or handing something over. But being part of a family is more than sending a check. You know, it struck me with some of the people who got in trouble for wanting to adopt the Haitian children, and the people who do want to adopt Haitian children. It is I think it just shows how far we've come. That there are so many people in our country and other countries who want to go beyond, you know, sending some money or feeling good about themselves, to actually bringing these children who are nothing like them into their family. And that's one of those things, you have to step forward. But at the same time, you got to be careful, because one of the things that happens is I have an uncle, and he said, you know, in every family, you got your in-laws, but some of your in-laws are really your outlaws. He married in, you might be able to tell that. Bringing someone into your family, a lot of times means bringing in people who are pretty much like you. Or at least people who are willing to be like you. When you come into someone's family, as the in-law, as the boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever you for a while, for a long time, you have to do things their way, right? How many people have ever, well, okay. Yeah. This is what happens in a multi-generational church. You know perfectly well, though, that when you married into your family, that there were moments where you had to do some things in ways that were pretty strange to you in order to get along with your in-laws. And your in-laws, if you got over that first phase, will tell you that they had to put up with some pretty weird things for you. I had an aunt I have an aunt, who when her daughter, her oldest daughter, brought home the boyfriend, and it was pretty clear they were serious, he started out calling her man, because he was that kind of guy. And she said, don't call him man. But she didn't tell him what to call him. And he couldn't think of anything else. So for 8 years, he never, ever, ever addressed her by name, because he was afraid to ask her. And she knew this, and she'd just sit there and wait. She'd say, someday he's going to have to crack. And 8 years, finally, he finally got to the point where these things happen. It takes a long time to break into a family, to learn the ways, to follow the patterns. And what Jesus is saying is that bringing someone into a family, bringing people together, is not about bringing people who are mostly like you. You know, I heard this thing, this TV program talked about the Cosby Show, and how the Cosby Show was revolutionary because people invited Bill Cosby into their homes on Thursday night. And that's great. You know, there he is in his sweater. He's kind of like Mr. Rogers to me, you know. But how many of us are ready to invite Lil Wayne into our church? Remember that list? How many people know Lil Wayne? Okay, 1, 2. He's like, yeah. Are we ready to invite him into our church? You know, we won't be able to. jail for a while. But that when he gets out, he's sure to have sell another 3 or 4 million records. Are we ready, when we talk about being a church family, to really open up the kind of people we're ready to be? Are we really ready to break down those barriers? It's easy to do a little bit here, but the call that Jesus has, his statement is, whoever does the will of my Father in heaven, of my brother and my sister and my mother. And so the question is, are we willing to be Jesus' brothers and sisters? Are we willing to welcome Jesus' brothers and sisters here into our church and into our lives? Well, that's some weird people in here, don't you? Strange things that happen.